one of the biggest obstacles that you're going to have to face and one of the biggest hurdles that you're going to have to get over is self-doubt. Now, this is just for you to be able to build something, to move something forward, to feel whole in your like mental capacity, emotional capacity, spiritual capacity, any of those things. In order to be able to move forward in those endeavors, you're going to have to remove self-doubt and doubt in general from your life. So how do you clear self-doubt? How do you remove doubt? Regularly, those things are going to rear their ugly heads in your life. Now, there may become a point where you're able to remove self-doubt for the most part, but doubt in and of itself, it's going to rear its head regularly if you consistently move forward, especially as a man or somebody who's building things. So every time you enter the unknown, that's exactly what it is. It's the unknown. And if you are growing, you have to continuously adapt to new circumstances, new stimuli, new problems, come up with new solutions. You don't know what's coming around the corner. You don't know how to get the thing that you're doing or you're building or the one thing that you want from point A to point B. It is just that. It is the unknown. Anytime you find yourself in the unknown, that is where doubt creeps in, and especially self-doubt in general, but doubt in general. Now you're also going to be feeling these other things. You're going to be, you probably feel lost. You could feel overwhelmed. All of those things will also play a part. How do you get rid of doubt? How do you clear self-doubt? How do you get it out of the way? Now, what I'm about to say is it's going to be extremely anticlimactic. You just have to make things happen. So what does that mean, right? Because it's vague as fuck. So what does it mean? When you, as a man, you should have projects going all the time. You should always have a project in your life. This is non-negotiable. As a man, that's what you should have. My grandfather was an amazing example of this, and I was very fortunate just to have met this man, much less be descended from him. This man had created multiple successful businesses throughout his life. One of the craziest ones was boxing lettuce. Yeah, I know, that's insane. It doesn't even, that's a business. But he became a mechanic on cars, motorcycles, and airplanes. He then built his own car. He then built his own motorcycle, and I mean put the engines together from bolt one. He also became a pilot. He for his motorcycle, I know he had some crazy. Maybe it was like 100,000 miles. I think it was more than that, but he wanted some crazy amount of miles on the bike that he built from the first bolt, like I said, just driving back and forth across the nation. The last thing, he was taken a little bit early in life. He did live to be 70, but he was taken a little bit early from cancer. The last thing that he was trying to accomplish in his life before he went is, and I'm about to speak on something that I don't know about, so if I'm using the incorrect terminology, please just bear with me if you happen to know more about this than I do. And please, by all means, correct me down in the comments. I'm perfectly fine with learning. But he wanted to become, I believe he wanted the designation of sniper. Now, I don't know exactly how this works. I know this man was in the military at one point in time, so I don't know if this is through the military or through another endeavor. I have no idea. But he was attempting to reach the designation, I believe, of sniper. Right before his death, he had reached the designation of whatever is just under sniper. My point is, he moved from one endeavor to another endeavor to another endeavor to another endeavor. He always had a project going, including multiple successful businesses over time. Now, when I say just make things happen, when I say just get things done, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Now, one of the issues that's going to be, as men, a lot of guys will be like, well, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to put this together, I want to build this, and I want to have time for this. That is not going to fucking happen. So choose just two main things at a time. And when you reach a level of sufficient proficiency for you, then you can move one aside and adopt another. You're not going to be able to put all these fucking things together at one time. It's going to be a lifetime of work. At one time, I would suggest just concentrating on two things. Build one thing, learn one thing at a time. That's it. But what I'm saying by make things happen or do things is I'm talking about the small steps that each thing takes. Everything has to attain a skill or a talent, to learn something, to build something. Each one requires that you complete one small step at a time, at a time, at a time, at a time. And I'm saying Just start accomplishing those small tasks. Don't worry about the big grand scope of things. Don't worry about the thing that's going to have the goal that's months or possibly years away. Just take care of the small steps that are directly in front of you to accomplish these two main things that you're trying to get done at this time. Over time, you will build a collection, a pool of victories behind you. That accumulation of victories is what allows you to eventually, I fully believe you can most likely remove most self-doubt over time. Again, doubt will creep up every once in a while, and self-doubt is going to continue to creep up for at least for a while until you get enough behind you. When you're just taking care of things though, that's what gives you that ability to move self-doubt out of the way. It's taking care of those little things. Because if you feel self-doubt and then yet you're accomplishing these little tasks, these little tasks, these little tasks, these little tasks, and then building towards something, you're gonna look up at some point. And it could be a couple of days, it could be a couple of weeks, it doesn't matter. The point is, you're gonna look up and you're gonna be like, whoa, I'm so much closer to my goal than I ever thought I would be. Whoa, you're gonna look behind you and be like, whoa, man, look, all this stuff that I accomplished up until this point. And it's having that ability to recognize those two things. When you have that small accumulation of wins that's building up behind you, that helps you. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, self-doubt will rear its ugly head every once in a while. But when you're able to just look at it coldly and be like, okay, well, this is what I'm feeling inside. Yet, these are the things that I've been able to accomplish so far. And this is how close I am now to my goal. And then after a time, let's say you've learned a couple of things, you've had a couple of skill acquisitions or talent acquisitions, and you've built a couple of things. When self-doubt rears its head, it doesn't feel as deep anymore after that. You can kind of feel it, but it's like a momentary thing. You're like, well, you know what? And you recognize, I just need to focus on the task at hand. And I just need to take care of the things that are directly in front of me. And over time, I will accomplish these goals as well. That's all it really takes. I know that everybody wants these super secret ninja sauces, these instant fixes for everything. The better, the simpler. Take a fucking pill and life will be great. But the truth is, it's just not that. It's not. Life isn't built that way, especially not for men. We are not meant to live easy lives like that. Which is why when you live in the, we'll say cradle, when you live in the cradle of comfort, your life is usually not very good. You don't feel good about yourself. You're constantly feeling self-doubt, depression, anxiety, all these things because you're not building something, you're not moving towards something. You're not collecting these small pieces of victory behind you. Now, a dangerous place to really put attention though, is if you play a lot of video games. I happen to love video games. I do not play them very much, but I love video games. Loved them since I was a kid. Now, the problem with video games and where it can pull you in and suck you in is you get this pseudo feeling of accomplishment and achievement, right? Because you've unlocked all of this stuff. You've built up these characters. You've done all of these things, but it doesn't apply to the real world. Unless you happen to be a professional gamer of some kind, it just doesn't apply to the real world. But it gives you this feeling, this pseudo feeling of accomplishment and achievements, even called achievements in the game. So you want to be very careful that that's not what you're doing when you're playing video games. You'll get this feeling of achievement, but it won't translate to real life. So that's why your real life doesn't get any better. So you have to stay in the game, in the games longer because that's where those achievements actually matter. Build something. I would say learn something and build something at the same time. Just two things at once, right? Talent acquisition and skill acquisition and building things is going to take a lifetime. If you're going to learn multiple things and if you're going to build multiple things, that's going to take your lifetime, however long that's going to be. Just to choose two things. Work on them as often as you can, as hard as you can, and attempt to gain as much velocity in them as you can. Your goals will happen with the velocity with which you are willing to work at them. When you feel a level of self-doubt, I feel that when you feel it in the beginning, it's because you don't have the victories behind you. In the very, very, very beginning, and that's why it's so difficult to like shrug that feeling off, because that feeling fucking sucks. But when you start building those things up, that feeling of self-doubt, that's why we call it building confidence. Those things build confidence. You learn to fight, for instance, and you start getting your hands kind of down a little bit and you start getting your footwork down a little bit. Then they put you, you start feeling a little bit confident, but then you got to get humbled and they'll put you in the ring and then somebody's going to be like, they're going to tag you a few times and you're going to realize, okay, I'm not as good as I thought. But then you get good at that as well. You start being able to take a hit and instead of going into what the stuff that you used to do or trying to get the fuck away or any of those things, then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, okay, I remember how to do this. And so slowly over time, it's the same thing. You build that confidence. Your self-doubt in relation to that one thing definitely starts to dwindle. Now, of course, if even if you've been boxing a couple of years and you try to get in there with, Terrence Crawford or something like that, you're going to get embarrassed. But you still have the achievements behind you. And that's what allows self doubt to start moving away from you. And the more things that you have, the more victories that you have, and the more goals and the more skills that you've acquired, those things are going to help move your self doubt to the side. That's how you clear self doubt from your life. Doubt is going to happen when you're in unknown territory. When you are adapting to new circumstances and new stimuli, doubt is going to rear its head every once in a while because you're not sure where you're going. You're not sure how you're going to accomplish this goal. You're not sure how you're going to bridge where you are from where you are to where you're trying to get. You're not sure of those things. So it could creep in a little bit. But after a certain period of time of accomplishing and accomplishing and accomplishing and accomplishing, man, that'll hit and you'll feel it, and then you'll recognize, but I can do this. I just got to concentrate on the next step that's in front of me. What is the next step that's in front of me? Self doubt, man, it can be crippling, and I know that. And I believe that it helps fuel the thought processes of anxiety and depression. And if not, I don't care. My point is just for the self doubt at this time. If you want to, self doubt is going to be one of the biggest barriers and one of the biggest hurdles that you're going to have to overcome. Especially if, doesn't matter if it's going to be towards building something in line of with success, financially or any of those things, or like I said, just feeling internally good and internally whole. And the way to get rid of it is just make stuff happen, just get things done. Concentrate on the things that are in front of you and take those little steps over and over and over again. Concentrate on two things, man. Learn something and build something, and nothing else. You shouldn't even have you if you have more time than that. You are either my hat's off to you, especially if you have a job at the same time and you're trying to do these things. Self doubt, man. Do not let it be the thing that stops you from starting life and starting the things that you want, and do not let it be the thing that prohibits you from accomplishing the goals that you want. When it rears its ugly head, just concentrate on the next thing that's in front of you. Just make things happen. Just get things done. Over time, you will eventually defeat self doubt and doubt in and of itself.